Jenica channel.
Today you're in for a super special treat because for the very first time we are bringing you Judy's kitchen.
Our mommy's gonna cook for us my favorite meal of ever. We're so excited, so here we go. This is our beautiful mommy. She is going to tell you about what she's going to be making tonight.
Hi girls.
Hi.
Well, this is really a lot of fun to have both of my girls back home in the kitchen. Today we're going to be paying tribute to Grandma Dora Rodriguez, so your dad's mom, this recipe of hers, which is Spanish steak and white rice. And we've all come to love it, and it's not a meal that you make very often, and you'll see why in a few minutes, but it is one of our absolute favorite. It is a once-a-year treat, and no better time to be celebrating with my besties in the kitchen. So, the first thing we have to do is get the white rice done. So this is actually Grandma Dora's pot, and it's a cured Spanish pot. This is her cured round bottom pot. To start the rice, I use corn oil, and you make sure that this pot is very, very hot, and you put a good amount of oil in the bottom of the pot. Then I only use long grain white rice, and I'm also very snobby about the brand, which I don't know if I'm allowed to say, but what I did was I washed the rice. I know you're not supposed to wash the rice for the vitamin content, but we don't like starchy rice that sticks together. We like every grain to be loose and individual, and al dente, that's my Italian side coming out. You're actually frying the rice to start, and anytime you use any kind of food that has a starch in it, like a pasta or a rice, you don't turn it very much, because then that releases too much of the starch, and that's what makes pasta and rice really gummy, and we don't like that. So usually I give it about 5 or 6 good turns and one in the center, and then you can hear that sizzle. Hopefully you can hear that sizzle.
You can.
And you want to make sure you can see the shine on it. You want to make sure that that oil coating, that very hot oil, by the way, the pot was really hot, so when the oil went in, it got hot right away. When you see the oil ripple, that's when you go ahead and you put your washed and drained long grain white rice. I do everything by feel, and I usually bless the food, so that's what I did with the salt. Once you see the rice starts to get a little bit of a transparency to it, that's the time when you add the water. Do not follow the directions on the rice bag. That's another thing we just throw out with the wind. And then what you want to use is a good filtered water. And the trick is just to add enough water to cover the rice by about 1 inch of standing water. So you'll see when I spread this out, not quite an inch, that's about right. You just want to be able to cover it and kind of be able to see the rice through it. Now what you do is you turn the heat up really high. Again, it's much easier with a gas stove. You might want to add a little bit additional salt at this time, and I use a really good reduced sodium kosher salt with the best flavor. It's the only salt I use, and it's excellent. And you want to make sure that that rice is nice and flavorful, because you can never get it to taste just right if you don't add the salt right. So again, no stirring, just flipping, flip, 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 flip one more time in the center, and when that water evaporates, which is going to happen in a few minutes, that's when we'll cover it with a glass lid, and we'll reduce it to low, and we set the timer for about 20 minutes, and then you're going to have some of the best tasting white rice you've ever had, hopefully. Okay, so this is the most critical part. You'll see the water has evaporated in just a few minutes, and all you do is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 turns if it's a big pot like this, and then 1 more in the center, but no stirring allowed. Don't be tempted to stir it. That's kind of like a different kind of rice. That's a gummy, chewy rice. So now I've turned it down to low. All the water's evaporated. The steam is coming up really good. And I'm going to set the timer for 20 minutes, and we're going to have delicious white rice. And now we're going to go ahead and do the marinade for the Spanish steak. Oh, this is bad for filming. Makeup redo, makeup redo. Here.
I gotta leave.
No.
I gotta leave. I have to do my makeup all over.
Rolling.
We're ready for the marinade now, and we started by using some 2 or 3 yellow Spanish onions for Spanish steak. Makes a lot of sense. But we've had a little moment here with a lot of tears because it's stinging our eyes. So this is gonna go into the bowl. Nice sizes. I'm gonna take a nice white vinegar, a nice distilled white vinegar. I like a Spanish vinegar. And we're gonna just cover them to about 1 inch, maybe 1.5 inches. Again, we're gonna do this by eyeballing. So we do that, and then we match it with a really good olive oil.
Cold press, extra light?
I prefer light, extra light to light, because it doesn't compete with the meat flavor and the onions and the spices that go into it later. So I don't know if you can catch a picture of this, but you're going to see there's about 1 inch of vinegar to about 1/2 inch of the olive oil, and you pretty much try to get them as close to each other in measurement as possible. So probably just a little bit more, a little less olive oil than the vinegar. Okay, so we're good there. And now the next thing that we do is we take a nice, good quality cut of meat, a top round steak. The butcher does this for you nice and thin. You get a really good heavy duty mallet and a surface that won't break, and you drape off your area, and you just start to pound it out as thin as you can possibly get it. So you'll see they were thin to begin with, but we're going to make them so that you can see through them. And we're going to cut it in half so that this is a steak. And that's about what you're looking for. That thinness. I roll it over, I do it on the other side. As thin as you can get it, and as wide as you can make it. And then what I do is I use a good adobo. Adobo is garlic, oregano, salt and pepper, and cumin. Puerto Rican. I use a Puerto Rican brand. And then I just sprinkle each side with the adobo here. This is where you get that delicious garlic, salty garlic flavor. And then you just dredge it, and then you just put it right into the marinade. Goes right into the pool. And then you'll see later what we're going to do is we're going to flip it so that it's under the onions. And you just repeat that as many times as you have to get the steaks out. So we're going to just do that for about the next 30 minutes, probably. I am not a violent person, but for anybody who has any frustrations that they need to take out in a healthy way, nothing like it. Let me tell you.
So loud.
Name the meat, you can just go to town. Very healthy. All aggression gone when you're done cooking this meal. So have fun. Now, if we were concerned with being politically correct in the kitchen, we would use these tongs and we would flip the meat so that it goes under the onions and the marinade rises to the top. But we're family here and my hands are unbelievably clean. So this is how I would do it. And maybe no one will ever want to come here and eat this again. I don't know. Maybe once they know this, they won't want to eat it. But they're very clean.
Get in there.
Really, there's nothing like using your hands when you're cooking because you can feel that every piece is getting marinated. And so you just want to press everything. And this is how Grandma Dora did it. And she raised 5 beautiful children. So you just want to get it all under. Get all those onions to the top, as many as you can. And I use a clear glass bowl because I want to see what's going on. And you'll see it's all submerged. And every piece is under. And now we let this sit anywhere from 2 to 3 hours, sometimes overnight. Or start it, like around noontime. If you're planning dinner around 6, you can let it go 5 or 6 hours, but just make sure you refrigerate it after you're done with it. Okay. So now we're at the point where the meat has been marinating for a few hours, and I've removed all the meat from the marinade bowl, put it in a separate bowl, because what you have to do now is you have to fry the onions, you have to saute the onions before you cook anything else. So you take a little bit of oil from the pot, and then you just start to strain out all of the onions.
Smells amazing.
This is a good smell. It smells of home, right? It smells like Grandma's house, actually. And then what you want to do is You want to saute these onions just so they get transparent. Transparent means they start to have that like almost invisible look to them. And as soon as they get like that, everybody's going to go back into the bowl. So that just takes a couple of minutes. Just cook it at a pretty, like a medium to medium high heat. You don't want to burn the onions, of course. And all of this marinade is going to work like the gravy for later. So what you're going to do is you're just going to give them a quick stir around the pot. You always want to hear that sound. You want to make sure that you're always hearing that nice sizzle. That's really important. This step is really, really important. And just like anything, other dish, you know, that has onions, the caramelizing, when they start to stick and they get transparent, that's what makes a really good base for the rest of the dish. It's going to be delicious. Now you can see what's starting to happen. Why don't you come here and get a shot of this, because I want to show you how the onions have started to get transparent, but they've also started to get golden. And all of that brown color down there, that's the caramelizing. And that's going to turn into the gravy for later. That's going to really make this so tasty. So at this point, you never want them to get deep fried or anything like that. You want them to be this beautiful, starting to get caramel color. And then what you do is now you take them out. And you get them all out of there, because you don't want to fry these anymore. And even though this is going back into the raw meat juice, it all gets cooked, so none of it gets contaminated or anything like that.
Well, the little ones don't want to get picked up.
So now you just pick up the whole thing and you pour everything, oil and everything, back into the bowl. Okay, here. And then turn it up. And now comes the part that takes forever. You turn the heat up to a good heat. If this was a flame, you'd want to see the flame. And then you do this. One piece of meat at a time. And this is where if you had a silicone glove, it would really help. I might use that one this year. And then you see all that caramelizing going on in there. You let it sit for just a minute. Not even a minute, like literally a few seconds. You flip it on the other side. See that golden brown? And now you take your fork and you go all around and you get all that caramel up and you throw it back in the pond there. And then you do it again with this one. So we'll do a couple, but the trick here is one at a time. That's why you've got 50 or 60 pieces of meat like I have in there. It takes a really long time. But this is the most important step. But it's literally, it's almost like stir fry. You can see how quick this is. And sometimes if the meat's really small and the caramelizing continues a little too high, sometimes I'll get really bold and I'll throw a second piece in. But you know what, you better be careful with your lens. Yeah, with the oil. Nice, all right. And then you just keep doing that as many times as you have to get all the meat. Wunderbar. All right, so we're back at the point where everything has been fried. You can look in the pan, it's nice and caramel in there. And now everything just goes back in the frying pan. Okay, I usually get every drop that I can out of here. Because my favorite part is all this juice over the rice. Okay, and then you want to bring this to a boil. And as soon as it comes to a boil, you cover it, you reduce it, you put it down to low for about 20 minutes. Then while this is cooking, we go over here with our fresh cut French fries. These are all hand cut. Delicious potatoes, raw potatoes. We're going to put them in the hot oil. We're going to cook them up
and cut.
All right. And then we'll just show you the finished product. So this is the last step before the plating up and then the eating up. So what we've done is we've put our fresh hand-cut potatoes in the hot oil. and I use a really good corn oil. I really love the flavor. And of course there's our white rice, and you can see that the white rice is exactly how we want it. There's not a grain that is stuck together. It's all individual grains, and that just really tastes so good. And then here is the Spanish steak that now, after cooking for about 20 minutes at a low rolling boil, this is now fork tender, and you're just going to pick it up and it's just going to fall apart in your mouth, and you don't need a knife or anything to eat this. So we're going to plate it up in a second, and finally after 4 hours, sit down and enjoy this. So now you know why we only eat this once a year.
Yay!
Well, here it is, Spanish steak. Yeah!
Okay, ready?
Ready.
Let's go.
Moons are acceptable. I have to say, I do like this.
So good.
Yeah!
My absolute favorite meal of all time.
Yeah! Thank you so much for appearing on Jenica channel, Mommy.
It's my pleasure, girls.
And for being the bestest cook in the whole widest world.
Thank you. Thank you for being the bestest girls in the whole wide world.
And thank you, Grandma, for the incredible recipes.
That's right, skills. We thank you, Grandma Dora.
Thank you. Miss you. We love you.
Thanks for watching, everybody. Wish every day you guys were home again. Mwah.
Thanks for watching.
Next time, mozzarella stuffed meatballs.
Thanks for watching.
Oh,
yeah.
thanks for watching. I'm gonna say it 10 times.
Thanks for watching.
And the girl's favorite, I think. And I think
Okay.
Roddy, our son's favorite. And I think your dad's favorite. Actually, I think it's all of our favorite. I am a brand snob.